November 2025 has given us a second bond auction and an opportunity to learn something new in bond investing. Somebody shot a question whether FXD3 2019-015, whether this is a new type of a bond. In our previous videos, we covered the types of treasury bonds that we have in the market, and we highlighted that treasury bonds and treasury bills are just the same type of papers, that they are bonds. And a bond is an instrument, today electronic instrument, that is used by a borrower to borrow capital from the market. When the borrower is the government, then we reserve the term treasury to refer to instruments, bonds that are issued by the government. And therefore, we come up with the treasury bonds. Based on their maturity period of the paper on issue, that is where now we divide them into two groups. We have the treasury bills, which are short-term bonds, bonds that are issued for a maturity period of up to 12 months. It can be a 91-day paper, that would be a 91-day treasury bill. It can be issued for 6 months, or a 181-day paper, which now becomes a 181-day treasury bill, or issued for 1 year, which becomes a 364-day treasury bill. Any borrowing paper issued by the treasury for a maturity period that is more than 1 year, then that one becomes a bond. So collectively, these are the same types of papers, but divided into two categories based on their maturity. We have the treasury bills and treasury bonds. When we look at the treasury bonds, the types are three. We have three main types of treasury bonds. We have the infrastructure bonds, abbreviated as IFBs. We have the second type, those are fixed coupon bonds, which we abbreviate as FXDs. And the third type of a treasury bond is the savings development bond, which is abbreviated as SDB. Then, when we have the FXD1, a 2, a FXD3, or an IFB1, IFB2, IFB3, the same can happen to the SDB, where you get SDB1, SDB2, SDB3. Today, we are saying we have an opportunity to learn something new, because for the last 2 years, we have only had FXD1s, reopened fixed coupon bonds. But the second auction in November 2025, we now have an FXD3 2019-015. This is not a new type of a bond. This is a fixed coupon bond. When we look at the naming structure of a bond, the name is divided into three parts. We have the first part, to the extreme left, which gives us the type of bond on issue. That is the FXD. Then we have the middle part that is giving us the year when this bond was first issued. And we have the third part to the extreme right, which gives us the original maturity when this bond was first issued. Because we only have the year when the bond is issued, and every month we have a new auction, a new bond auction, then we can have several bonds of the same type issued for their first time in 1 year. In such a case, then to distinguish the papers, that is when the numeral value comes into play. And we get the FXD1, we'll get an FXD2, we'll get FXD3, and that numbering will continue to cover the bonds of a particular, of the same type issued in 1 year for the first time. And therefore, the FXD3 would mean that this was the third fixed coupon bond issued in 2019, meaning that there is an FXD1 2019, there is a FXD2 2019, then FXD3 2019. So our FXD1 is what we have covered in most of our videos, because that is what we have been getting through the auction. And the purpose of this channel has been to dispense financial literacy relating to bonds bit by bit, depending on what we have in the market. And now that we have a FXD3, this becomes a perfect opportunity for us now to learn that numbering. FXD1 would mean a fixed coupon bond issued for the first time in the specified year. FXD2 2019 would mean a second fixed coupon bond issued for the first time in 2019. FXD3 2019, the one we have as FXD3 2019-15, then this becomes the third fixed coupon bond issued in 2019 for the first time and for a maturity period of 15 years. And the second bond in this auction is the FXD1 2022-25, being the first fixed coupon bond issued in 2022 and for a maturity period of 25 years. If we look at an investment of 1 million Kenya shillings in each of the two papers in this auction, that is the FXD3 2019-15 and FXD1 2022-25, where the coupon rates for these two papers is 12.34% for the FXD3 2019-15 and 14.188% for the FXD1 2022-25. And those are gross coupons. Gross coupon because they need to be adjusted for withholding tax at the rate of 10%. Why 10%? Bonds issued for a maturity period that is equal or more than 10 years, they attract a reduced withholding tax rate at 10%. Then why is the FXD3 2019-15, which is giving us a remaining maturity of 7.8 years, still attracting a withholding tax of 10%? It's because we look at the original maturity period. Because in a reopened bond, the new investors or all investors who are doing top-ups on the investment for that particular paper, we are still investing into the older or the original terms and conditions of that paper. And therefore, the term in terms of maturity period originally was 15 years, and therefore this paper also qualifies for the new investors a withholding tax of 10%. When you subject the gross coupon of 12.34% to a 10% withholding tax rate, you get a tax element of 1.234%, which leaves us with a net coupon of 11.106% for the FXD3 2019-15. For the FXD1 2022-25, a 10% withholding tax on 14.188% will give us a tax element of 1.4188% and a net coupon of 12.7692%. That net coupon we subjected to the object of the investment, which is the capital investment of 1 million shillings, and the FXD3 2019-15 will give us a total coupon amount of 111,060 shillings, while the FXD1 2022-25 will give us a total coupon of 127,692 shillings. Bonds pay out their coupons 2 times in a year, 50% each time. And therefore, for the FXD3 2019-15, which is paying its coupon in the month of January and July, means that you get an amount of 55,530 Kenya shillings in each of those 2 months. And for the FXD1 2022-25, which is paying its coupons in the month of April and October, you'll be getting a total of 63,846 Kenya shillings in each of the 2 respective months. And looking at the specific bond details for the 2 papers in this auction, as per this schedule, The FXD3 2019-15 has a remaining tenure of 8.7 years, giving us a redemption date or maturity on 10th July 2034. The specific months when the coupons shall be paid out for this paper is January and July, and that becomes important for those who are looking for papers to complete their bond ladders. The accrued interest on this paper is 4.2715 for every 100. And for the two papers, the minimum amount required for investment is 50,000 Kenya shillings. To bid non-competitive, you are investing a minimum of that 50,000 to a maximum of 15 million Kenya shillings. Competitive bids would require a minimum of 2 million Kenya shillings. And for the two papers, the government is targeting to collect or receive a total of 40 billion Kenya shillings. FXD3 2019-15 will leave us with a net coupon of 11.106%, and that is an element important to consider if it matches or it is within your minimum acceptable rate of return for your investment. FXD1 2022-25 has a remaining tenure of 21.9 years, and that gives us a redemption date or a redemption date of this paper will be redeemed on 23rd of September 2047. This is a long-term investment, and this is a paper that is suitable for those who are looking at a fixed return or a fixed payout of income for a long period of time. And that's why we say this kind of a paper is suitable for those retirement or an alternative to an annuity investment. Lastly, but not least, we look at the important dates relating to this issue. And we have 3 days remaining to closure of bidding for these papers, because the bidding period started on 11th November 2025 and shall close at 10 a.m. of 19th November 2025. The auction date takes place immediately after bid closure, and that becomes the last bidding date. That is on Wednesday of 19th November 2025. Results immediately after the bid, immediately after the auction, the results are relayed through our transaction tabs in the DAO CSD accounts, and that will happen from the date of the auction all the way to 24th November 2025. And the payment period becomes immediately once you get your payment details. That's the payment key. You have all the way to the settlement date to make sure you are at TGS payment for successful bids. And the settlement date, which is the value date, is on 24th November 2025. And on the same day, once the period has closed, the payment period has closed, all those papers shall be transited to the secondary market for purposes of trading. Rediscounting. In case you want to liquidate your bond, in case you want to sell a paper that is in your portfolio, you have the option of selling that paper in the secondary market through a broker. If you are unable to get a buyer in the secondary market, you have an option of selling back that paper to the central bank as a buyer of last resort. And that is what we call bond rediscounting. And for bond rediscounting, you get a price that is 3% above the prevailing market rate or coupon rate, whichever shall be higher. Meaning that selling back to SMBK gives you a lower amount, a lower redemption amount or a lower selling amount compared to if you sell it in the secondary market. Thank you for watching, and hopefully we will be looking at our next bond review in the last bond auction in 2025. That will be the December bond auction.